I have to say right now it is my pleasure to welcome Joe Staten here to the stage. Joe,
yes,
it's fantastic to have you here.
I mean, sorry, Andy.
Andy, and I'm
And
Jay.
I'm old now.
Yes.
Names are hard for me.
I hear you. It's good to see you again.
Joe,
Good to see you too.
I have to say it's fantastic. When we found out we were going to have you on the show, I think the timing is awesome with Shadow of Intent just releasing.
Yep.
We're here in this building, this historic building, in the
That's
last
right.
month of its, I guess, as its use as the Halo epicenter.
I know.
Which
You guys
is-
kind of sad, or are you all right?
It's end of an era.
It is, man.
It really
Yeah,
is.
It does have the same stink that I
Does it?
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of like
Victory.
victory.
Right?
That's
Is
what I
that-
was going
is
for.
that-
Yes, that's what I was
the
going
The
to say.
Halo stink. Yes.
The clear
It
stench.
comes from
Tell
only
us-
working on Halo.
Yeah, Jay and I mean, we've only been here. Jay, maybe you've been here 5 years.
Almost
almost
four.
four.
Almost
Okay,
four,
almost
yeah.
four, and I've only been here 3. But Joe, you had a chance to build many experiences in this building. When does this building itself date to? Is it like beginning of Halo 3?
Oh my gosh, see,
When
now
did
you're
it-
going to tax my powers of memory. So basically, this was about the Halo 3 time frame,
Right,
yeah,
right.
when we moved in here. And so we saw Halo 3 and ODST and Reach out the door from this building. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then I think then later on, of course, CEA, and then Halo 4, of course, built almost
right.
entirely here in this building. So I have to say, it came upon us quick, didn't it, Jay? I think we knew several months back, maybe even
We
a
knew it was
year,
happening.
that we were going to be
Yep.
moving out of this studio into a brand new studio, which was exciting. I think because ideally with new studio comes new shiny things, right?
Yep.
So we were excited about that. But I think as the time ran down and we approached the holidays, we were kind of like, man, there's only 3 months, there's only 2 months now, there's only less than
Days.
Yeah,
We have
I mean,
days, yeah.
especially with the holiday break coming, there's
Yep.
less than a week
Yeah.
here. So I mean, one thing.
And then it struck you that you were moving from a beautiful lakefront property with lots of restaurants out to the woods?
Yes, to Redmond.
Yes.
It's exactly where we're going.
Yep.
So hopefully there will be shiny new things inside that we
Hope
can
so.
show all of you. But
Yes.
yeah, I think first of all, before we dig more into the studio, Shadow of Intent just dropped.
Yes.
Everyone's super excited about it. I believe it's almost, I guess it was earlier this year that we announced the full.
We have 5
lineup.
novels coming out
Right,
this
so
year.
we announced
yeah.
the full lineup, but everyone kind of saw your name, and everyone's
Yeah.
really excited. So tell us, I mean, after having worked on Halo for so long, and then having worked on other projects, and now coming back to do Shadow of Intent, what
Yep.
was that like coming back to the series?
Well, it was actually pretty easy. It felt really comfortable. Having worked on Halo for a long time, it's easy to slip back into.
Right.
And Frank O'Connor.
I was going to ask, was there a convincing that had to happen there?
I could say there was a lot of arm twisting, but no, Frank and I are good friends, and he gave me the opportunity, and I just come back to Microsoft, and I thought it was great. I mean, there definitely is a stack of stories that I never got a chance to tell in Halo, and this was one of the ones near the top, and
Cool.
it was just a real pleasure to go in and write it.
Yeah,
In my new job at Microsoft, I don't spend too much time writing, so every
Right.
time I actually get a chance to dive in, even after hours,
Sure.
and get something done, is
Sure.
a lot of fun.
And revisiting a classic character.
Oh, yeah, for
Really,
sure.
too, from Halo 2, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, and it brought back a lot of fun memories from that time, and some not so fun memories, but a lot of fun ones. So it was great to dive back in.
Yeah, absolutely. Shadow of Intent, of course, available now at HaloWaypointStar.com. I believe it just came out Monday, right? Was,
7th.
Yep,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
on Monday. Yeah.
So that's available now, as you see on your screen. You can
Killer
grab
cover
it.
art.
You can grab the digital version of Shadow of Intent and dive right in. I know many fans excited to get their hands on this. So if you haven't yet, I believe it also makes a great holiday gift.
Absolutely.
I think it does.
That's what I hear.
That's what
I hear.
That's a rumor.
I
right?
always love Kilo 5 trilogy did this a bit. I really like digging into the Sangheili and
Yep.
sort of their culture and life, and the stakes seem really high on this one as well. It's
Could
a
you say
revenge story,
Sangheili
which is
just
great.
one more time, maybe a little lower, maybe a little more? Yeah, there we
like
go.
that, okay.
That's the word.
Was practicing just for the visit.
It's nice.
Let's talk a little bit about grunt voices.
Yes. Yes.
The history, I guess, of the grunt voice as it developed over the years.
Sure. Well, the first grunt voice was literally sort of a seat of the pants thing. We were getting close to the end of Halo 1, and Marty and I sat very close together, and he knew I did a little bit of voice work, and one day he pulled me in for what we thought was going to be just a placeholder session of grunt voice. And I laid it down and laughed half the way through it because Marty and I were kind of cracking each other up. And the grunt ended up being, going into the game for testing, is just kind of a funny, lighthearted little guy, which is kind of like me, hopefully. And it ended up sticking, and we ended up adding some dialogue to it, but largely it was that same grunt voice. And then for Halo 2, we went back and re-recorded the grunt voice, and on the microphone that day, I started to do the grunt, what I remembered was the grunt voice, and Marty reminded me, actually, the grunt voice is not up here, this little thing. That all gets added in post.
Right.
It's just basically my normal voice. So I guess I kind of sound like the
Right.
grunt just when I'm walking around, but yeah, no, Marty would turn the knobs and make me sound a little high and squeaky,
Right.
and I think he did it kind of vindictively to make me sound higher and squeakier than I really was. But yeah, and then he just kept on going from there.
Right. Cool. I think the one thing that I think we want to talk about now is I guess any specific memories in this building. I remember when we had you here to talk a little about ODST.
Yeah.
I got to hear a few of them, but I guess I think I'm so thankful that we have this live stream and also you joining us here, because I think to give this building a proper send off. In writing the weekly updates, I was like, how can we give this historic building, which has created so many fantastic Halo experiences, a proper retrospective? I think. Are there any neat stories that you remember throughout any of those games that came out of here?
Well, there you can see it on the monitor now. This fine building actually used to be a hardware store back in the day. Went through many manifestations. I think it was an Ace Hardware before we moved in. But before we laid anything down, put in the elevated floor, etc., we all came here to play a giant day-long game of paintball. So we just
in the building.
In the building, yes.
Wow,
So we brought in. They had some old shipping crates here, and we put up some barricades, and we spent the whole day just lighting each other up. It was a lot of fun. So if you guys get a chance, I highly recommend. On the last day, you could go full circle, bring in some airsoft, bring in some paintball. I don't know.
Get some wooden cargo. Crates in here.
Yeah, and go for it. That was a lot of fun. So that was a great way to kick the building off. But mainly, I just remember a lot of long, hard, really fun days with good friends making cool things. Back in a time when I was a little bit younger, had a little more hair. Oh my God! But this building, I think, is filled with a lot of ghosts, but most of them are happy ones as I sort of look around and remember the good times.
Sure, yeah. Absolutely.
Of course, the most infamous story is the day that the SWAT team arrived. Did you guys hear about that one?
Yes.
I don't know if I know the story.
I've heard of the story.
Yeah, that was a good time.
So you're bringing in a bunch of props back, right?
Well, we had all the Weta weapons, all the sniper rifles and brute shots and that sort of thing. And I think there might have been, I don't know exactly why this happened, but there's a building up the street, right? The 550 building.
Yep.
And all the weapons were up there. We had someone we asked them to bring the weapons down to show them to someone.
Sure.
But for some reason, they decided to run
with
the weapons
weapons
down the street
with
the sniper rifle.
Sure.
Yeah, so someone on the street
It's a bold
saw
strategy.
this, called the cops. They called the SWAT team, and I think we were working on ODST at the time, and I just remember Harold walking out front and dealing with the commotion that we didn't realize inside the building, but it turned out that, yeah, that could have been not so great.
It turns out running with very realistic,
Yeah,
very
so kids,
large weapons
no running
down
with
the main
realistic
street
weapons.
Yes.
That's right.
is generally frowned upon. Okay.
That was good. That was a good day. Wow, look at that. Where'd you? Oh my God.
Oh yeah, we have to say.
Who is that handsome?
We went
lad
into
with
the
hairy
archives,
legs?
Joe.
We have some good stuff on here. You and Jamie.
Let me get more of
course.
that. Oh yeah, the glasses. That's such a good look. Oh, Jamie. Dude, so you guys pulled footage from the darkest days of Halo 2. That's great. Thank you.
We went.
Thank you for that.
Now, when I started working in this building, there was one reference I heard named a couple times, the Ivory Tower as a
sure.
location. Where did that come from?
Well, it came from Marty,
Of course.
Now, the Ivory Tower is a special place. It's where great creativity happens. You don't want to just blow into the Ivory Tower. So Marty would, when he was really busy, he'd put a skull and crossbones up on his window. But it was I think at the time, he and Jay had the only offices. What's the Ivory Tower now? It's still an audio suite, right?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you guys still have that one urinal for 1,000 guys? Is that still?
The one upstairs, yes, yeah.
Oh, you built one upstairs?
There's one upstairs.
Oh, so it's
and
like
there's one over
two for
here.
1,000.
Two for 1,000.
That's
much
way
It's only like a
better,
20-minute line now. It's great.
Yeah, we actually had the Ivory Tower as a meeting room for a very short time, filled with couches.
Yep.
It's soundproof. It's lovely, and then audio immediately stole it back.
Yes.
Which is,
They do that, man.
yeah, unsurprising. They have some.
Yeah, if that room's
good
already
setups.
built for it, they're like, you can't have that.
Yeah, I believe. And then Ivory Tower, of course. I think
right.
I remember not only the Halo 2 map, but specifically the description text. I think was built for socialite Lance O'Donnell. I believe was the text, of
That's
course.
right. Marty demands the best.
That's awesome.
For that map. But I think before we go, anyone? Oh wait, we have some Twitter questions.
We got some Twitter
Let's
questions.
go to Twitter questions.
Our producer Chad has been sneaky and keeping us up to breast on those. So we're going to go back to Shadow of Intent just a little bit. These guys have a few questions. This is off Twitter from Sticker Boy. Thank you for your question. Are there any specific parts of Halo, we'll do this one first, I'm sorry, that you are most proud of having worked on?
Well, man, wow, that's good. I think it's hard to find parts that I'm not proud of working on, but I think the time where I dug deepest and I think land the plane the best was Halo 2. That was a pretty rocky end there, and getting that project out the door. And
right, and then to become such a beloved game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you
I
know,
think the legacy that
Changed
that
the
game-
landscape.
yeah, that the
I
game
think it
left
was.
behind.
You know, there were certain things that didn't go great, but I think as a studio and as a team, it was pretty miraculous that we pulled that off. So that was great. And ODST has always been a really special project for me. The guys that and gals that worked on it, it was a really tight team, and I think we were able to make something pretty magical with not a lot of money, and it was a pretty special project.
It's
And,
awesome.
But yeah, I mean, really, Halo was a good time for almost 15 years. So
Right.
it was
It's
a good-
amazing. It's
good
amazing.
run.
Got another one?
And then yes, we got one more off Twitter as well from @CraftingGeek. So going back to Shadow of Intent, was there any
Yeah.
particular reason you chose to write about the Sangheili? Was this your original idea that you wanted to do?
Actually, yeah, that's funny. I really wanted to write a Halfjaw story, and I had an idea that he would be a little bit like the Odyssey, sort of Odysseus' long return home. And when I started writing, thinking about who his enemy would be, I didn't really have a strong idea in mind. And like you do a lot when you're writing, you sort of figure things out as you go. And as
Sure.
I was outlining it, I realized I needed a bad guy, and the prophets I felt were folks that had been kind of left alone for a little while. And I'd always had this idea in the back of my mind: wouldn't it be fun to fight a prophet who wasn't hanging out in like a wheelchair floating
Right.
around talking to you, but someone who was actually very capable. And then I just began a process of asking, well, why would they make such a thing, and why would the prophets invest in this program? And a prophet that could stand, or a Sanshum that could stand toe-to-toe with not just Sangheili, but also a Spartan, seemed like a pretty interesting character.
Definitely. So what would you
to
say,
write
like at a high level, is just the overall story you're telling with Shadow of Intent?
Sure, so Shadow of Intent, without spoiling anything, is really the story of the Halfjaw in between, or after Halo 3, basically.
Okay.
Where did he go? What adventures did he have? And it started off as a very short story, and it ballooned up to something that could have been a longer book, and then it sort of shrunk down to something that I could actually get out in a reasonable amount of
Right.
time.
Sounds a little like game development.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really his story, as well as the story of this other Sanshum character that I won't talk too much about. You'll have to read the book and find out about it. But how they come together and continue to fight this old war, but maybe even bury the hatchet a little bit and move forward. So it's really a story of an old warrior and how he puts the past behind him and keeps on going.
Nice. That's awesome.
Excellent. Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit like what we did with Buck's story, and I kind of like how with everything that's
Yeah,
happened in the Halo universe, it's sort of like, where are they now? Kind of experience, which is really great. Awesome, awesome. I'm looking forward to reading it this weekend, actually.
What? You
Looking forward to it.
haven't read it yet?
I have to, yeah, it's a holiday read for me as well, and hopefully many of you who have joined us today. Joe, I mean, it's such a pleasure to have you here
Thanks,
with us on the
Andy.
show.
Yeah, so
Thank
now
you
you're
very
super
much.
busy, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so
absolutely.
much for coming.
Yeah, you bet.
So once again, Shadow of Intent is available now. Make sure you go grab it.
Do it!
Jay, I think next up, I got to give one more thanks to our second guest, Joe Staten.
Always,
Awesome
always
guy,
a pleasure.
legendary contributor to the franchise and
Yes,
all the
yes.
experience that we've enjoyed over the years.
Yep.
I mean, it's so cool. I mean, so I grew up I grew up on Halo 2, right? I mean, we
yeah,
both did,
absolutely.
well, excuse me, in the entire entire Halo series, but really following the development of the game, starting with Halo 2, because I think that's when Frank, Joe, Jason really
I still
started
remember
to-
the onstage demo with Zanzibar, and just having my mind blown.
I mean, that's
yeah.
when, and then even I remember the studio tour that Frank did, right? I mean, with those guys, following them and starting to really follow game development at that point. Such a fanboy moment for me to be able to have Joe on the show, and that he's still contributing and writing.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
I mean, without being obnoxious about it, I mean, I absolutely have had dozens of moments walking around realizing the people that have been in this building and
Oh,
the
yeah,
work
yeah.
that's been in this building, and
Especially
sort of what
when
that
we've
means.
had guests over the past, I mean, few months when we knew that this was our last time in this
Yep.
building. I think when you tell someone, hey, Halo 3, Halo ODST, Reach,
Halo Reach.
CEA, when you tell people that all those were built right here, right? It's a very cool feeling. I think Joe described it well. There's a lot of very happy ghosts
Yes.
that exist in this building. So it's been a pleasure working here and kind of delivering Halo experiences to you from this building.